Welcome to our Facebook Live session, and thank you so much for sharing your evening with us. We are eagerly awaiting the 2019 National Teacher Leadership Conference in Orlando, Florida, and wanted to take this time to present a small teaser of our upcoming session surrounding our white paper titled Having Our Say, Examining the Career Trajectory of Black Male Educators in Pre-K through 12 Education. But before we begin, I would like to take this time to thank Lauren Cantel for giving us the opportunity to talk about this important topic. And so I'm thinking we should probably begin with introductions. My name is Kimberly Underwood, and I am the University Research Chair for the Center for Workplace Diversity and Inclusion Research at the University of Phoenix. I also had the privilege of leading this dynamic team in the development of the white paper that we will be presenting at the conference. Also, I may be dating myself with this piece of information, but my background includes almost 2 decades of experience in diversity and inclusion management and higher education administration, as well as leadership in teacher preparation. And now I will turn it over to the wonderful Josh Parker.
Oh, thank you so much, Dr. Underwood. I'm so glad to be on this with two people whom I respect and admire greatly. Thank you, Dr. Underwood, for your support, and also
Absolutely.
Dr. Roberts for your brilliance. My name is Josh Parker. I'm the 2012 Maryland Teacher of the Year, representing National Network of State Teachers of the Year, and I was the lead facilitator of the Alucall Fellowship, where we gathered with great and outstanding Black male educators from all over the country. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that in our session today. But I bring you greetings. Glad to be here and glad to get this teaser started. Can't wait to talk to you about what we have been talking about for the past year. Now hand it over to the esteemed Dr. Medgar Roberts.
Wow, I get to be both brilliant and esteemed?
Yes, just for today, just for today.
Just for today, okay. Well, I'm Medgar. I should probably say Dr. Roberts, but nobody ever does. I don't do that much. I have the honor of filling several roles in this happy band. First and foremost, I'm an educator of 27 years. I'm currently employed in a school district in North Texas, just outside of Dallas. I was secondary teacher of the year for my school district in the 2015-16 school year. And probably most interesting, I was chosen to be one of the Instoy Alucall Fellows for this past year. So I've had the opportunity to share and grow in the brotherhood of these outstanding educators. Third, I'm also a fellow with the University of Phoenix and one of the cadre of researchers and writers working with Dr. Underwood to complete this project. And I am just ecstatic to be here in your company this evening. Thank you for sharing your time with us.
Thank you, Medgar. And so I would like to preface this session with a brief overview of how our collaboration came to be. So in early 2018, Instoy and the College of Education at the University of Phoenix started these discussions to explore how we could possibly work together on future projects. So as the chair of the Center for Workplace Diversity and Inclusion Research, I was brought into these conversations, and we quickly determined that there was a need to focus on Black male educators, especially in pre-K through 12 education. So from these meetings, we agreed upon the development of a white paper, and this white paper would examine the experiences of Black male teachers. And we also agreed upon an upcoming research project examining the lived classroom experiences of this population. So for the last year, my research fellows and I have had the privilege of working with this dynamic group of educators from all over the United States, working with Josh. It's been a pleasure. And so at this time, I would like to give Josh the opportunity to talk about the Instoy Fellowship.
Thank you, Dr. Underwood. And it has been a privilege, really, and an honor to be able to talk to outstanding Black male educators. The word Alucall is Nigerian for teacher. And one of the things that we wanted to emphasize is the singular and unique nature of being not just a teacher, but a Black male teacher. And so fellows from far and wide, as far away as Oklahoma to as near as Baltimore when it comes from the East Coast. We talked about issues that are specific to us. And as you put on the screen now, some of the fellows that started with us, it was almost like every time we got together with these gentlemen over the course of the year, it was like a therapy session. It was just, we got together and we talked about issues in ways that we typically don't get to discuss them. Because even though we are together and there's a good number of Black male educators across the country, at least in a raw total number, we're isolated because there's so few of us percentage wise to everybody else in the profession. So us being able to get together to discuss issues that are relative to us was such a privilege to be able to do. We got closer, even virtually. We never met in person, but we got closer virtually, and we started to reflect, certainly vent a little bit, but we also started to almost envision the way forward for us. What are we going to do after this year is over with? And we shared so many insights and so many stories that are going to show up in the paper. I got a chance to see the draft version of this paper, and I'm just telling you, it's powerful. There are several insights that are directly from our hearts to whoever is interested in this. And what I want to say before passing off to one of our fellows, a lot of people talk about solving issues, but they never really talk to the people who the issues are concerning. When you come to this National Teacher Leadership Conference and come to this session, you will actually talk to the people that are at the center of the issue people say they want to solve. You don't want to miss it. And I'm going to pass it off to one of the great men of our fellowship. That's Dr. Medgar Roberts.
And I get to be nerdy for a little while, so thank you for that, Josh.
Other than your normal, like every day?
I get to be nerdier than normal.
So, okay, got it.
Yeah, I love that. So when we start looking at the design of the paper, we all know that a stool has to have at least 3 legs to be useful. In the world of research, we call that triangulation. So as we talk about the design of this white paper, there are some processes and considerations we used to make sure that the paper is as inclusive and as academically credible as possible. First came the research. Through that process, we found that there were 3 trends or buckets that this topic required for semi-comprehensive coverage: recruitment, retention, and mobility. And in our case, that's the decision and the processes of Black male educators as they move up in the educational system as professional educators or move out of the profession altogether. For this part of the process, we engaged 5 researchers to find and synthesize the material. Simultaneously, we engaged our Instoy Alukoff fellows in both guided and unguided conversations, which were recorded and transcribed, and also engaged them in directed journaling to center them on certain questions that we found critical to the subject matter. So as we developed the paper and determined where we had gaps and needs, we then re-engaged in research and then asked additional questions to our fellows to fill those gaps. So you can kind of see that it was very recursive, it was very iterative, and we're pretty proud of the work that we've done in this process. So here are a few of the topics and discussions that kind of came out of those 3 areas of recruitment, retention, and mobility of Black male educators. So first was the critical need to have more Black male educators in classrooms around the country for all students, not just the ones in urban schools and in the inner city. And then the leaky classroom pipeline, the fact that there are very few Black males who aspire to become teachers in the first place, and even fewer who actually enroll in teacher preparation programs and then complete those. Recruitment practices that have worked in the past that had significant population of Black male educators in their school systems, the intractable problem of role delineation in Black male educators who are in schools and how we can reinforce their roles as curriculum experts and master educators. That's one of the big discussions that we had, is the need for that kind of discussion. How we handle issues like the mobility of Black males in education, the reasons why they depart education as a profession, and then where Black males go when they leave education. And then finally, we came up with some promising recommendations for each of the 3 areas to increase the presence of and refine the roles of Black male educators. And of course, all of this is liberally sprinkled with the insights and experiences of the Instoy Alukoff fellows. So all of this is all tied together. It was very interesting process that we had. So, and unless I'm mistaken, and Josh, correct me if I'm wrong here, but there were roughly 20 hours of commentary and observations from the fellows. Would you agree?
Yes, 20 hours of our time. And I almost wouldn't say it's 20 hours. That's the technical term, but it felt like 40 or more because some of the issues were so weighty, the
Yeah.
comments so
Yeah.
penetrating that they lasted beyond the phone calls.
Yeah, that is true. And I want to make sure that, people know that there really is a brotherhood that developed out of this outside of the actual calls. And then two, the fellowship that occurred in the writing of the paper itself. So it was very rich. So what we did is, at least in the meetings that we had, is we took all that content, we transcribed it and analyzed it, and then we synthesized it into the most insightful, thought-provoking quotations, and that got us down to about, I think, 20 pages or so. So then we had to synthesize further, and then we built the paper around those quotations. It was a brilliant idea that Dr. Underwood had to use that as the center of what we were talking about in the paper itself. So I'm not going to share those with you right now. You'll have to wait on the paper release for that. But I will share this idea that's voiced by one of our fellows, and it's up on the screen right now. Black males can use their identities, experiences, and ways of being to shift the administrative and academic cultures of school systems and buildings. Increasing the number of Black teachers at all levels across elementary and secondary education would allow more Black male educators to feel that it's okay that they leave the classroom without fear of leaving their students without Black male teachers in the classroom. And that's one of the fears that people talked about. There was very much an ownership of the classroom and of the students and of the process that came out of all of the fellows, and it was really special to behold and great to be a part of. So now I will pass it on to Dr. Underwood.
Yeah, thank you so much, Megger. And let me say to both you and Josh and the rest of the fellows, thank you for making me an honorary member of the Brotherhood. I appreciate
Absolutely.
that.
You
Uh,
are, absolutely.
The
thank
best
you.
looking member on top of it.
Yes,
Well, thank
yes.
you. I'll take that. And so at this time, I would like to talk briefly about where to find us during the conference. On Thursday, July the 11th, I am doing a brief presentation during lunch with Pam Rogeman, who is the Dean of the College of Education at the University of Phoenix, to discuss the release of the white paper, which will also happen during this time. So definitely check your emails at this time during lunch. Our presentation will be at 2:30, and the title is Collaborative White Paper Presentation, Examining the Career Trajectory of Black Male Educators in Pre-K through 12 Education. So during this hour, we will have a specific conversation about the contents of the white paper and a panel presentation with the research team and two NSTOY fellows. And following our presentation, all presenters will be located at the University of Phoenix table, and we definitely look forward to talking to you then. So we hope you stop by. And here you can find this information online. This is our page online about our session. And these are the presenters that will be presenting on July 11th. So it is a combination of research fellows from the University of Phoenix Center, as well as NSTOY fellows. So before we leave tonight, I wanted to give this group the opportunity to provide some final thoughts for reflection. So Josh, can you lead us off?
Absolutely. Thank you, Dr. Underwood, our honorary member. So here's something that I was thinking about, and this has been ruminating within my mind for at least a few weeks, but tonight sort of propped it up for me. In this work, we have a lot of people talking about it. We have a lot of bystanders, but we don't have a lot of practitioners. Part of getting into the work is hearing people's stories who are in the arena, doing the work itself. And so I got a chance to hear from men over the course of this year about what they really go through in all spheres and places and cities throughout this country. And we need more participants, more practitioners, more people coming in and helping. And so coming to the conference and coming to our session is one of the first ways you can get proximate to what we're talking about and then start acting on it.
Mm-hmm.
And the last thing that I'm reflecting on, it's interesting if and Dr. Underwood and also Dr. Roberts, who was there for just about every single meeting, what's an interesting thread that came through our conversations, you can almost say it's patriotic in the sense that we talked often about what ideals are that are quintessentially American. And what has happened over the course of our history as a country is those people who have been minoritized, such as Black and brown people, have not been seen as the solutions to the issues that oppress them. What I would say is that as we talked about our duty to the kids of America, it struck me that maybe the solution to the issue is listen to those people who are trying their best to make America really live up to who she says she is. So I just want to say that that's something that struck me as we were going through this, how patriotic we are, because we're trying to hold America to what it truly says it is. So that's a reflection that I have that I'm really thinking about. And I really hope you all check out such a powerful session at the National Teacher Leadership Conference.
Thanks, Josh. Megger?
So my wife calls me a unicorn, and I used to laugh at her for doing that, but going through this process actually reinforced that idea, because there are about roughly 2% of all educators are Black male educators. And then when you add to that the isolating nature of being a teacher in the first place, you spend the vast majority of your time as the only adult in a room full of children with little opportunity to talk to any of your peers, much less peers who have many of the same experiences that you've had. It does feel like you are something that is mythical, something that is untouchable, and something that is completely misunderstood. So having that opportunity to speak with my brothers and share in their triumphs and tribulations over the period of this past year has helped me to grow as an individual and as an educator. And I think that it has given me some perspectives that will help to feed my future growth as an educator and as a person. So I'm very thankful to have had this. And I think that the opportunity to come and share with us is something that you really don't want to miss.
Thank you, Megger. I think for me, I have basically lived with this research for almost a year now. And my reflection is actually a question for all of us to consider. And I present this through a social justice lens. Megger, you talked about the 2%. The research shows that right now, students of color are actually increasing in numbers in our classrooms today. But yet, there is a decline in the number of Black male teachers that are showing up in our classroom. And so what message do we send to our students and to society about the importance of the Black male educator when there is this continued decline in the number of Black males represented in our nation's classroom? So that's food for thought for everyone here. And with this being said, I ask each of you to leave this session reflecting about your own social responsibility to ensure that the adequate representation of this population continues to be at the forefront of conversations at the federal level, the state level, local levels, as well as within each and every school. And so with that, I think that's our time. So we thank you so much for taking your time this evening to spend with us. And we will be available after this broadcast for additional questions. So thank you again and have a great night.
See you all.
Good night, everyone.
Thank
Thanks
you
for
for
coming.
coming with us.
Take care.